The clock struck midnight in the small town of Grendale, and every window along Main Street went dark, except one. In the corner shop with appealing blue paint and a wooden sign that read, Ellis and Sons, clockmaker since 1887, a dim light still flickered behind the dusty glass. Inside, Tobias Ellis was bent over a workbench littered with gears, springs, and screwdrivers. His fingers, though gnarled with age, moved with the precision of a pianist. The clock before him, a magnificent brass-cased grandfather model, had not ticked in over a century. Tonight, he intended to change that. Nearly there, Tobias muttered to himself, "Just one more turn." He reached for his loop, peering into the delicate maze of brass and silver. The mechanism inside was unlike any other he had seen. It pulsed faintly, as though alive. And deep within its center lay a gemstone that shimmered blue, casting ripples of light across the room. Tobias's heart thudded. The stone was called the krona, according to his late father's notes. A crystal that could, if legend were true, hold fragments of time itself. His father had died mysteriously 50 years ago, the same night he claimed to have completed the clock. Since then, Tobias had been obsessed, some said haunted, by the unfinished project. He had rebuilt the mechanism dozens of times, but only now did he understand the missing piece. Not a mechanical fault, but a pattern, a sequence that must be set at precisely midnight on the anniversary of his father's death. And that moment was now. He adjusted the pendulum, took a deep breath, and turned the final screw. The clock began to tick. At first, it was faint, a soft rhythm that seemed to echo inside his bones. Then the hands began to move, spinning faster and faster until they blurred into silver rings. The air grew heavy, charged with static. Tobias stumbled back as the gemstone flared with light. The workshop dissolved around him. He was standing in the same room, but younger, brighter. The walls were new, the tools gleamed, and on the bench before him stood a man he recognized immediately. His father, Henry Ellis. "Father," Tobias whispered. Henry looked up, startled. "Toby? But you're—" He blinked, eyes filling with tears. "You've come back." Tobias's voice trembled. "What is this? Am I dreaming?" His father shook his head. "No, you've opened the krona clock. It bridges time, our moments, our regrets. I built it to see your mother one last time, but I failed. I couldn't control it." Tobias's mind raced. His mother had died when he was a boy, taken by fever. His father had shut himself away afterward, consumed by grief and invention. "You built this to change the past, to speak with it," Henry said softly, "to remember without pain." The air shimmered again, and through the rippling light, Tobias saw a woman step into view, his mother, radiant and smiling. She walked to Henry, touched his face, and for a brief, impossible moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the clock chimed once, and the vision shattered. The workshop darkened. His father was gone. Tobias gasped, stumbling backward into his own time. The clock still ticked, but something was wrong. The hands were spinning backward. He grabbed the pendulum, trying to stop it, but the metal burned cold against his skin. Sparks leapt from the gemstone, flaring in bursts of blue. Then the room began to shift again. Only this time, Tobias didn't recognize where he landed. He stood in the middle of a desolate square. The buildings were ruins. The air carried the acrid smell of smoke and iron. Above him, the sky was cracked by lightning, and in the distance, a massive clock tower lay toppled, its face split in two. A figure moved through the fog, a young woman, cloaked in gray. She held a lantern that glowed with the same blue light as the gemstone. "Who are you?" Tobias called. The woman studied him with sharp, knowing eyes. "You're the clockmaker, aren't you? The one who built the bridge." My father built it," Tobias stammered. "Where am I?" "Grendale," she said. "Or what's left of it." The clock's power fractured time. Every hour you turned back, the future broke further. Tobias felt a weight in his chest. "You mean I caused this?" She nodded. "You and your father both. Time doesn't want to be changed." The clock tower struck one, though it had no pendulum. The ground shook. Around them, Fragments of moments flickered like ghosts, children laughing, a wedding procession, a snowfall, all looping and fading. Can it be undone? Tobias asked desperately. The woman held out her lantern. The Krona's energy is tied to your heart. If you let go, if you stop the clock, it will heal. But you'll lose what it gave you. My father, Tobias whispered. My mother. They're not gone, she said gently. They're behind you. Always. Tobias turned, and in the flickering light, he saw their shadows, his father's steady hands guiding his own, his mother's laughter echoing faintly through the air. Memories, not ghosts. He took a deep breath. Then I'll fix it. He ran to the clock tower. The great gears inside were grinding against each other, sparks flying from the ruptured gemstone core. Tobias climbed the twisted metal, ignoring the pain in his joints, until he reached the heart of the mechanism. The gemstone pulsed wildly, threatening to burst. He reached out, hands trembling. For you, father, he whispered. For her. And he turned the key backward. The light engulfed everything. The roar of the collapsing tower became silence. Then, slowly, the ticking returned, steady, calm, familiar. Tobias opened his eyes. He was back in his workshop. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. The clock before him was still, its hands frozen at 12. The gemstone no longer glowed. It was dull, ordinary quartz now. On the workbench lay his father's old pocket watch, the one he had lost years ago. He opened it. Inside was a photograph, his parents smiling together, and beneath it, a note written in his father's hand. Time is not meant to be held, only cherished. Tobias smiled through tears. He placed the watch beside the clock and stood. The shop was quiet, peaceful. He stepped outside. The air was crisp, the streets alive with morning chatter. Grendale was whole. Children ran past, laughing. Across the road, Mrs. Holloway waved from her bakery window, and for the first time in decades, Tobias felt something he hadn't known he was missing. Peace. He returned inside, closed the door, and hung a small sign on the clock. Out of order, let time rest. Then he brewed himself a cup of tea, sat by the window, and watched the sun climb higher over Grendale, ticking not by gears or gemstones, but by the steady rhythm of his heart.